Hi folks, I'm Sean Crabtree. It's high noon in Nashville. That means it's time for the Dental Profits webinar series, Why You're Stressed and What to Do About It. That's what we're going to talk about today. Stay with us. Hi folks, and welcome back. It is high noon, time for the Dental Profits webinar series. We got Casey, the production star, in the background. He's going to kind of keep me on track. I apologize. We have been running around at Mach speed with our hair on fire. And I'm so excited, though, to be able to spend the time with you today to talk about one of the biggest opportunities that we see in every service business. If you are a service business, if you are a dental practice, if you are an attorney, if you are a CPA, if you are in the financial services industry, if you are a yoga instructor, if you're in the heating and air business, this series is for you. Today I want to talk about why you're stressed and what to do about it. We see this all the time, and I'm curious to know, as I tell this story, if you can picture this in your mind, whether or not you see the same thing. How many times have you walked into a service business and you see, I'm thinking of a business that I walked into just recently, where the owner of the business, when I walk in, the owner of the business literally is standing back there with a telephone in each ear, holding a telephone in each ear. And I can tell by the look on his face, he is absolutely stressed to the max. And what I notice when I look around is there are about 8 employees standing there very leisurely, talking about what happened on the weekend and talking about their day. And they look like they're really having a great time. Do you notice something crazy about this picture? This is the challenge that we see over and over and over again. The owner of the business is stressed to the max because that owner is everything. That owner is the production supervisor. That owner is the president of sales. That owner is the bookkeeper. That owner is the collection supervisor. That owner is wearing every hat in the business. And the people who are on the team are standing around waiting for the direction from the owner. Tell me what to do. Now, I don't want this to sound like I'm trying to throw off in my story here, like I'm trying to throw off on the members of the team. This is not their challenge. This is this person's challenge. Joe, we'll call him, as the owner of the business. Joe is focused very hard on coming in every day and pedaling the bike and pedaling the bike and pedaling the bike. And when Joe's trying to grow his business, his focus is pedaling harder and pedaling faster and pedaling more and more and more and more. That causes stress, and that is a source of major stress. And today I want to talk about what to do about it. What Joe, if we think about Joe, who's pedaling really, really, really hard, but we contrast that with, let's say, John, who owns, let's say, the same service business. And you walk in to the business, and you can tell that John, who owns the business, is busy. You can tell that everybody else who in the business is busy. And everybody seems to really take ownership in what's going on, and everybody has a part to play, and everybody is fulfilling their own roles, right? John is having a good time. He's enjoying the fact that he's watching his business grow. He's also enjoying the fact that the people on his team are partners with him in his business. They all have areas of responsibility just like he does as the owner of the business, and they all have parts to play, each one of them having the authority to be able to take on challenges, issues, concerns, and come up with solutions that are, going to propel the business forward. Joe, on the other hand, is like the rat in the cage, the hamster in the cage. He's running every day, running every day. And everybody on the team wants to sincerely help, but nobody knows what to do. Because in this example, Joe is playing every role in the business. Well, let's talk about that and talk about what you need to do. If you're stressed because you are playing all of those roles, if you find yourself being the bookkeeper, if you find yourself being the CPA, if you find yourself being the payroll supervisor, the production supervisor, the collections manager, if you're playing all of those roles, stop. Here's what you need to do about it. Take a breath, get off of the bike, and stop pedaling, and begin to untangle this thing. The number one thing that you need to do is stop looking at the people on your team as employees and begin to look at those people on your team as partners in your business. Stop the pedaling right now, get off the bike, and begin to ask yourself some questions. What would need to happen for me to take all these wonderful people who are on my team and really have them be partners with me in this business rather than employees who are waiting on the next directive for me to give them? That's exhausting. To be able to do that, there's a couple of things that you need to do. There are many great books on this subject. One of them that comes to mind is called Turn the Ship Around. If you're a military kind of person, you'll really enjoy that. One of the things that they talk about is kind of the same things that we talk about. Stop, take a deep breath, and let's organize the structure of your business. The number one thing that you're trying to do is not have employees, but create partners in your business. If you're going to have partners in your business, then what you're going to have to do is, there's Michael, there's Natalie, there's Cameron. Hey guys, what's up? The number one thing you're going to have to do if you're going to create partners rather than employees is, here's what you got to do. Take your business and chop it into major chunks, okay? Whatever those chunks are. Administration might be a chunk. Production might be a chunk. If you're a dental practice, operative would be a chunk. Hygiene would be a chunk. Create chunks in your business. And then challenge the people on your team to own a chunk, right? Now, it's very important that we talk about this thing called own, right? You're looking for not employees, you're looking for business partners, and that's what you're trying to create. So as a business partner, it's not about, if you have one of the people on your one member of your team take over a particular chunk, it's not about them doing everything in that chunk. You want them to be a partner in your business. You want them to own that particular chunk. And owning the chunk looks like this. I need to figure out how my particular chunk, this area of responsibility that is now mine, I need to figure out how that chunk serves the overall place that we're trying to go. I need to figure out where the opportunities are. I need to figure out where the challenges are. And then I need to figure out what I believe those solutions are and bring them to the table in terms of a plan, right? That's ownership. I'm probably making requests to the people on my team. I'm directing people on my team. I have the ability to manage resources. And you, as the owner of the practice, are going to push down the authority to me. And I can't own it unless you give me the authority to manage the people and the resources that are necessary to own that department. Remember, it's not about having employees, it's about having partners in your business. And as such, what you got to do is, number one, separate the business into chunks and have the people on your team take ownership in those chunks. Have them come up with a plan that they think needs to happen, identifying where the opportunities are, what is the solution to overcome it, and then bring it to the table. Communicate that plan to the table. So let's go back to the example. We have Joe, who's really super stressed. He is running the show. Joe is pedaling. He's got phones in each ear. He's making notes over here. He's doing work over there. He's a one-man show, and everybody on the team is wanting to help, but nobody knows really how to make that look. John, on the other hand, has determined an overall vision of who it is, how it is, and what it is that he wants from his business. who it is, how it is, and what it is that he wants from the team on his business and who he wants to be for the customers of his business. And that is the overall guiding principle. Now he's divided the business into major chunks, as we said, and every person on the team, he is assigned a specific chunk. And once a week, John has a meeting with the people on his team. They come together, and each person who's responsible for whatever chunk they're responsible for comes to the table with a game plan, addressing those things. Everybody on John's team enjoys those meetings because that's when everybody gets the information about what's working in all the other areas, how their area can support another area, what is it that we need from each other based on these plans. We're communicating to make requests and get support from each other. It's not only that the business is much more successful and John is less stressed, because now we don't have employees, we have business partners. So what happens is the people on John's team are much more fulfilled, and that's what will happen on your team, and that's what could happen on Joe's team if Joe were to implement these things. The people on John's team feel like they are part of something bigger. They're not there to do what they're told. They're there to find the opportunities and come up with their own solutions and then bring those solutions in the form of a plan to the table and get everybody's input to challenge that plan and then implement it, right? There's a level of fulfillment that the people on your team will really enjoy because they are now business partners rather than employees on your team. That is a major source of why you're stressed if you don't have John's situation. You're living in Joe's situation. And what you need to do about it is push that authority down, just like we talked about, by number one, creating the big chunks and having people on your team take ownership of those chunks. The second thing I would have you do is when these teams are when these plans are brought to the table, John is very clear that he is the owner of the business. He's very careful, always to push that authority down and make sure that the people who own those chunks are taking that authority, taking that responsibility. He's communicating directly to that rather than getting so much caught up in the minutia of what the plan is. Certainly, he's going to challenge the plan, but only challenge it in terms of the overall direction that we're trying to go. At the end of the day, John over here realizes that he doesn't have all the answers, and he respects the people on his team. He wants their input. He looks forward to having them take that authority. Each week, he looks forward to hearing what they think needs to happen. If he needs to lead the discussion, he's going to do that in a way that doesn't usurp the authority, but still leads it toward the overall direction of where we're trying to go. And that's the biggest piece of the second part of this, is communicate on a regular basis to make sure that everything is serving the overall direction. And John is very clear about that in a way that does not take away the authority, because John understands, if I take the authority away from the people who are partnering with me in my business, now I've got employees. And that means all that responsibility comes to me, and no one person can be nearly as successful as a group of people over a long period of time. Even Superman at some point will run out of steam, and you got to be thinking long term. Tom Pittaway, Dr. Tom out there in Montana, I hope you're doing well, my friend. Glad to see you're joining us. I appreciate you taking a minute to join us here. The third big thing, so where we've come up with right now is I want to make sure I don't want to be Joe. Joe is wearing every hat in the business, and there's no longevity in that. John understands it's about helping the people on my team to take responsibility, take authority, and I want to make sure that they're taking that authority by having them manage those chunks that we've divided the practice into, and each person has their own chunk. The second thing we talked about is we're going to communicate openly, making sure that we're never usurping the business partners on my team authority. We're never going to usurp their authority. We certainly are going to challenge the process. We're certainly going to communicate around the process, and I'm looking to lead to make sure that everybody on my team is communicating about that process, not just John as the owner of the business, not just me as the owner of the business. The third thing you want to do is absolutely lead the process. Now, I know a lot of people are concerned when you own a business about how do you lead. You know, there's a lot of conversation we could have about that particular subject matter, leadership. I can tell you in a nutshell for this quick conversation, one of the best ways to lead is do the first two things. Push the authority to the people who are partnering with you in your business, the people on your team. Again, you're not looking for employees, you're looking for business partners. So step one, push the authority to them. Step two, have them bring solutions and plans in a written out format to the table. Those are two great aspects of leadership, and it doesn't require a lot from you. The third thing that I would tell you to do when it comes to really leading this process over the long haul is decide what is the decision-making criteria that we need to utilize when we're coming up with these plans, all of us as a group, right? One of those is the overall direction of the business, which is the vision. Like we talked about, who is it, how is it, what is it, where is it, when is it that you want to be for yourselves, for each other, and for your customers or for your patients. Another big way to absolutely lead in that process is just to decide what are the other things that we're trying to serve other than my vision, my direction. Well, you're probably trying to serve your customer. You're probably trying to serve your patient. You're probably trying to serve your client, right? You're also probably trying to serve your bottom line. I mean, let's face it. You're not going to be in business very long if you don't have profitability as a major decision-making criteria, right? I would submit that the other thing you're trying to serve is the people on your team, the business partners who are with you in the trenches every single day. That's probably it. I mean, at the end of the day, those are the things that you're really trying to serve. You're trying to serve your vision. You're trying to serve your team. You're trying to serve your clients, your customers, or your patients. And you're trying to serve your bottom line profitability. A great way to lead the process is to make sure that is the decision-making criteria that we use in all things. That's what you use when it comes to communication with these meetings that we're talking about. That's what you use when it comes to challenging the game plans that are brought to the table. That's also what you use when it comes to pushing the authority down so that the people on your team are not employees. They are really having a voice. They are really taking ownership of a chunk. Each of us now have a chunk of our business. If you're not doing that, then you're living like Joe and you are stressed. And that is not what I want for you to be. I want you to be successful. I want this to be the most successful year that you've had. That's why you're stressed, and that's what you need to do about it. The central takeaway here is don't have employees. Create business partners in your business and utilize those three things. Divide the business into chunks of responsibility. Have each person on your team take a chunk. Bring that game plan that they think needs to happen, utilizing those things to the table. And then you, as the owner of the business, lead that process, keeping those things in mind. That's why you're stressed, and that's what to do about it. And that's why we're here each week. Every single week, this webinar series is about you having happier clients, better results. Yes, making more money. It's also about you enjoying the process. That's why we're here every week. I hope you're getting value from this. If you are, please share this video. Find us at thecrabtreegroup.com. Click on the YouTube button and subscribe so that every single thing that we do, not just this webinar series, goes directly to your inbox. I'm Sean Crabtree, and I want you to have happier clients, better results, make more money, and enjoy the ride. I'll see you next time.